Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Never a dull moment here on set. And we have had the highly anticipated, started months ago. People were anticipating, when is it going to happen? Who are the stars going to be? The announcements came, the launch came. The naysayers also came as well. And then we saw the successful execution of Jazz 2023. Good morning and welcome to John Arnold,
Morning.
CEO, joining us here on set this morning as we continue the conversation in relation to jazz. How are you feeling, John?
No, I'm good. I'm really good. I think we feel, all of us, the whole team, the whole TFCL team, feel very excited. And I think from all the ports you can think of when you look at festival metrics, we certainly feel that we have achieved those objectives we set out.
All right. So I wanted us to delve in a little bit more. Secretary would have been on earlier, speaking very broadly to the execution of each of looking at the respective days, and from her perspective, where she was able to sit, viewing from on the outside as well as having some knowledge of the inside. Naturally, I know from where you sat, you would have the necessary details as well to even help inform that. And we want to chat a little bit more about the breakdown in relation to the festival. What would you have identified as some of the key pillars in terms of defining success of the Jazz of 2023?
Well, I think one of the things, just going back to the basic things about planning, the coordination, the evaluation at every phase, and then, of course, earlier the design. I think those would be key factors that we at the TFCL had to do in terms of creating the planning teams, all the various subcommittees that had to handle ticketing, travel, accommodation, secretariat, logistics, infrastructure, marketing, But I think beyond that, I think when you look at festivals, there's some key things. Yes, there's the financial, there's the attendance, festival attendance, there's the branding aspect of it, and then there are what we call the intangibles. And I think from all those various pillars there, when you look at them, I think we were able to see the impact of what the marketing did in terms of the attendance. And if it's one metric that we can look at and say, well, yes, people did travel. And we did see a lot of visitors, right? At all the shows, all four shows. That for me was a key signal that one, the air bridge, the assistance they give, and the sea,
Port Authority.
and the Port Authority, their assistance really helped. And patrons could have gotten their flights. Yes, it can't accommodate everybody who wanted to come, but I think we saw where the festival attendance really ramped up. On the branding side, I think there's no doubt, and some of the intangibles in terms of patron satisfaction. And we did an exit survey. We'll get that analysis soon. But I think there's no doubt from even just cursory looking at the social media that you can see that the response to patron satisfaction, despite some of the hiccups, was pretty good. Pretty good.
Tell us, give us a sense of the numbers in the context of what it appeared to be. You would have had the figures coming through the respective gates, especially for those events, that there was a requirement in terms of price and so on.
Right.
What were the numbers like in terms of the impact over the period of the festival?
Right. So in terms of the actual ticket sales, we are still waiting on some of the outlets to send in their money, so we don't have that full breakdown. What I can tell you is, again, in liaising and with some of the security people in terms of our anticipated audience, what we anticipated, we were amazed that I think in some cases we kind of ran beyond that. I think the turnout at Speyside, again, I don't have actual figures, but my own guesstimate was that I think that was anywhere in the vicinity of 5,000 to 6,000. I think Sunday we were able to see the greens, the grounds was pretty solid, and VIP was pretty solid. And we again estimated from where we sit anywhere in the region of 5 again to 6, maybe 6.5 maybe. The gospel night was a good turnout. We thought that was in the vicinity of 1,500, which again is reasonably and a fair and good turnout. And again, when we look at the quality of the shows, Julien, I think that is where we hear the patron satisfaction really comes out. Some people even told me that they feel that they got more than their money's worth, which is a good sign.
In terms of very good with regards to the feedback from those patrons. One of the other areas we want to speak to is we saw what most persons describe very satisfied in terms of the stage performances and the integration of, the continued integration, I should say, of local acts. Tell us a little bit about that effort on the part of the Festivals Commission and the Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah, I must say that the one of the key objectives of this festival, and again guided by my principals through the executive council and so on, was the fact that we wanted to make sure that we showcased a lot of Tobago talent. So that was a clear objective on the table early o'clock. And what we did now was to really look at how we can take the Tobago talent, those people who are unknown to a wide set of people of the audience, but we really had the opportunity to now place them in the shows that were going to give them the kind of leverage and showcase that they needed. And I think we achieved that. That's one objective I think we definitely met in giving. One of the things I actually heard from one reporter, my friend at Loop, and she said, I have to be honest with you tonight. My headline is going to be that the Tobago acts stole the show, especially on the international night. She actually said that to me. She said, I have to be honest, everybody was great. Coffee, Boys to Men, but I thought that people like Sharon Phillips kind of stole the show, and she left you with a kind of memory. And so her thing was that Tobago really shone that night. I also think that from a branding perspective, it speaks well for these Tobago acts, because now I even got word from one that they now have other gigs that other people have now approached them to take. And I think that augurs well. And that would certainly redound to more opportunities for Tobago artists, and also the opportunity to keep working very hard and for the others to start improving the craft and hone the craft.
All right. So, John, we know that the Tobago House of Assembly would have budgeted just about $3 million for Jazz 2023. That was the approved figure?
No.
Oh,
I don't know where that came from.
Then remind us. The approved budget for Jazz 2023.
Right. The approved budget was in the vicinity of around 12 million. Right. So I don't know where that 3 million can't do this.
Right. So what I want you to give us a sense of, are you any closer to the figures just yet in terms of what the actual spend may have been?
It based on what I've seen so far, it won't reach the 12 mil, right? It won't. And I think also that, part of the reasoning and in festival execution, of course, is that you want to recoup some of that through your gates and so on. But I think the broader picture in hosting the festival is certainly the economic spin-offs, as you know, that the whole set of stakeholders benefit superbly from hosting a festival like this. And I think this weekend, nobody can deny the fact that all the rental cars, all the accommodation sector, they all benefited from what took place here this weekend. Taxis, and groceries, gas stations. So I think overall, we can say, without even having the test, the only research that we have on the table would be the feedback from visitors who came to it, and that we will have those collated results within a week or two.
All
know?
right, so we certainly look forward to those details.
That's something I'm sure we can share.
Right, but certainly what we know for a fact is jazz is still not yet at the point in terms of being able to generate excesses beyond what the Tobago House of Assembly is required to put in. The question I want to put forward to you, you've been around long enough. When we make the comparison over the years, are we progressively seeing increased revenue generated? And I know this year turns out to be the major return after some time out. You know, how do you make that comparison in relation to the progress of the festival, even if we're not yet at that point of generating a surplus?
Right. I think it's, if you look at any festival in the country, funny enough to tell you, they don't make a profit, right? In terms of where the public purse is involved, there's no profit. NCC doesn't make a profit. On none of these events, it is basically to deal with the fact, just like how you're spending on other elements in the economy. So you don't see that. To make a profit, you will have to start with now saying, we need to cost those events their true cost. All right? And if you do that, then of course you will not reach some of the people you want to reach. So I think there's also a kind of responsibility of those in governance to also make the events affordable. And so I don't think you will ever get to the point. I think what you will do is to try and see how much you can recoup those expenses or even break even. And I think that is the attempt over the years. Even the days of Plymouth Jazz Festival, it was never profitable. Never. Absolutely.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So I think you have to go to those other objectives why you host the festival, right? Whether it be to create the economic spin-offs, the opportunities for branding, the opportunities for having people come to your destination, you know, those subtle ways of destination branding. Also, again, the opportunities for your own artists to have a platform to showcase and so on. And also building capacity. One of the serious areas I don't think people have realized is in the last 10 years, we now have so many suppliers of things like stages, porta-cool, porta-floor, lights, tower lights, truss-in. We have many more suppliers now. If you go back 10 years ago, we didn't have so many. So even the event industry has created some good, solid suppliers and vendors in the industry. So I think all of them add to creating an industry that would only help to, again, build the capacity we need to host these kinds of festivals.
All right. We have a viewer on the live speaking to the issue of the possibility of a soca night. Any considerations in terms of future prospects? In a similar manner in which gospel night would have been introduced.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you already have. I mean, that's a great idea, but I think that has to be contextual in that during Carnival there's a soca period. And so I think the festival itself needs to speak to some other genres. So soca has an input, but I think it's an excellent idea if you're going now to a model that shapes a reggae night, a gospel night, a soca night, a world music night, a real jazz authentic night. I don't know. I'm just saying.
We may even have to, at this point, we may have to evolve the name from Tobago Jazz Experience, a music festival, as some of the other islands, world music, as some of the other islands.
You're also seeing more jazz festivals popping up more than anything else, even Trinidad and Tobago. As a matter of fact, one person in Trinidad told me, we are actually the mother of jazz festivals as the Tobago Jazz, because everybody has spawned from us. Now you have so many jazz festivals, there are 2 more this weekend. in Trinidad.
Certainly.
You know.
Anything to share on the prospects before we wrap this morning? 2024, the Chief Secretary has given some indications that jazz is not necessarily going to look the same way in which it did for a number of years. One of our viewers here speaking to the need for sponsors to get on, to also get on board, because he's saying clearly no promoter does a fet without making a profit. Get sponsors to come in. Do you see that becoming an integral part of 2024?
Yeah, well, just to help the caller, we had over 9 sponsors this year, and most sponsors are given kind, not cash. So we've done pretty well on the sponsor front. And I think if the person who is a promoter knows that people who are in the public space and running a show have 1 artist and 2 artists, it's not like a festival. It's not like a festival that you're implementing. You have a few acts and come for that, and you make sure that your price, right, reflects that for you to make a profit. It's kind of different in the public space.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to leave it there for this morning, but certainly getting commitments here from John Arnold. Within a week or 2, there should be the figures that will certainly be presented to the public so that we have that information as well. Thank you so much, John Arnold, for joining us here on set this morning. CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited, speaking to our Tobago Jazz Experience of 2023. All right, viewers, we prepare coming on up in the next segment. We'll be chatting with Sean Roberts of the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative on screen there with us. And so we just want to remind you and to thank each and every one of you, those of you joining us via TV, those of you listening in on the radio you're already on the road heading on in and you're tuned in and locked on. Those of you joining us online, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.